In this lesson, we will watch through the entire video that we've created and add some final polish to tighten up the whole project. Okay, so I want to go ahead and watch through everything that we've created so far. I'm pretty much finished with adding things to the timeline, and now we just need to go back through and check to see if we have any kind of errors happening. And one thing that I'm noticing already just at the place that we are in the timeline is that I can still see a faint outline of that % sign. So we're going to be checking for all kinds of things like that. And I want to go ahead and open up the preview panel. So go up to Window and then come down there to Preview to open that up. And I'm going to be watching through this using a lower resolution than the full resolution we've been using so far. So I'm going to turn that down to 1/4. And then I'm also going to turn my viewer here down to 1/4 as well. So it's not switching back and forth between those two whenever we have it paused and whenever we have our RAM preview cached. We're going to be doing a lot of RAM previews in this lesson just to kind of watch back as we make those changes and fixes. So make sure you're in your main composition here, and we'll go ahead and set off a RAM preview of the entire composition. So you want to just make sure that your work area is really just open to the entire animation. So just drag that out all the way if you haven't done that yet. And one of the things I usually do at this point while I'm watching the RAM preview back through slowly is I just start taking some notes. So one of the things I would write down is that we have this % sign that is there a little bit too early. So we need to make sure that that is not going to be happening. So we'll go in and fix that. And it looks like our shapes that would normally come down right here either it looks like these are just popping on instead of animating on. So that's something that we need to add. If we had keyframes earlier, something has happened to those. So we need to go back in and make sure that we still have those position keyframes there so that they come down in from the top. And this dreams fulfilled bit of text is not sticking to the red circle where it's supposed to go. And also, I would really like this to actually say 100% of dreams fulfilled instead of still talking about this 68 number of students accepted each semester. So we should take that banner off about this point. So it'll say 100% of dreams filled. So we can go back in and kind of tweak that to fix it. Looks like that % sign didn't have motion blur on, so we want to turn that. That whole thing there happened really quickly. We probably want to adjust that timing. And because we have that wiggle turned on, it's wiggling 15 frames into Z space as well as from side to side. So we can really only see the side to side movement that wiggle is causing. But here at the end, it looks like this is beginning to flicker a little bit because of the way that wiggle is interacting with the Z space. So we want to make sure that we go in and change that as well. So let's go ahead and watch the RAM preview through one more time in real time and just take note of some of the timing issues that we have. It also looks like that millions piece of text is in front of this piece of this banner number circle comp that we've made. So I want to put that behind it. We can adjust the timing of this area here. Those don't have motion blur because they are generated with an effect. So we should probably use CC motion blur to give those some motion blur as they reveal.
Online. Wear what you want. We don't care.
So lots of little things to go in there and tweak. So I would normally write those down at this point, and then I would just begin going through and fixing all of these things. So one of the first things to fix is that this % sign is on too early. So we need to find the composition that that's a part of and fix that. So looks like that's going to be in this 3 shapes comp. So I'll go ahead and double click that. And this is also where we're having that issue of those shapes just popping on. So right about here is where we want to add some position keyframes for those. So I'll just go ahead and move forward about 12 frames from where these layers begin. So I'll hold shift, hit page down, and then hit it 2 more times to add those extra 2 frames. And now we'll set position keys with those where they're at. And then let's move backwards here and then just grab each of those layers individually and move them up out of our composition. So now we get that animation back that we had earlier, And it looks also like the percent sign layer here extends too far backwards. So I'll just go ahead and clip this at the same point that we have those other layers clipped. And I'm just doing that holding Alt open bracket to clip that at that point. And it looks like the next thing we want to do is make sure that the dreams piece of text is sticking to that comp. And I think this is still out in the main composition. So let's go ahead and cut this from our main composition and put it inside the 3 shapes comp so that we can parent it to our red shape, just the same way that our percent sign is parented to our yellow shape. So just with that layer selected, I'm going to hit Control X to cut that. Then we'll go inside of our 3 shapes layer or comp. And I'll just go ahead and select this percent layer here. And I'm doing that because this is the layer that I want my layer that I'm about to paste to go right on top of. So if I select a layer and then hit Control V, the layer I'm pasting will go right on top of that percent layer. So that just makes it a little bit faster for me to choose that layer first. Now let's just position this text where we think that probably should line up right about there. And then we want to go ahead and add our parenting. So I'm going to come down there and grab that pick whip, and I want to make sure that this shape layer 2 is the red circle. So this is what we're going to be parenting to. So we'll grab that parenting pick whip and parent those. And it looks like now that is going to be sticking to my red circle. And also, by the time that we get these circles introduced to our main teal circle, this should probably already have counted up to its 68%, or 68 students. So let's go ahead and scrub forward and say we probably want this to end just right about there, just so it has a moment to be read at the actual number that it's counting up to. So I'm just going to say right in there about 6 seconds and 17 frames. I'm going to come into that circle num band comp, and with the count up layer selected, I'll go ahead and come in there to my effect controls, and I'm just going to hit the U key with that layer selected to take a look at my keyframes. And we'll just drag this keyframe back to the current time indicator. So we have just a little bit more time for that to be read. And then let's go back out to our 3 shapes comp. So I'm just going to select that. If I scrub forward now, we just have a little bit more time to read that actual number before this is introduced. So something else I think that could help this is what I was saying earlier. Instead of saying 68% of dreams fulfilled, we're kind of mixing our messages with this transition. So let's bump this up to 100. So we'll give a little bit of time there for these shapes to animate on, and then just right in there around 7:15 we'll start counting this number up to 100. So let's go back into the circle number banner comp, and we'll set another keyframe just so that's going to sit at 68 for a moment. So with my current time indicator there, I'll just go ahead and set a keyframe, and then we'll just move forward a little bit, just about the same number of time that we have that pause, and we'll crank that up to 100. So you can just type that in. And one of the things you notice is that whenever we add that 3rd digit, it kind of messes with the alignment that we have for the number inside of our circle. So we actually need to do a 1 frame change so that that 100 will be bumped back over to the middle of our comp. So just right here, I'm going to go ahead and set a position key. And you've got to remember that we set the position keys inside of this effect. So just come down here and I'll find position right there under that fill and stroke option. So just click that stopwatch there. And if you want to see that keyframe, I'm just going to hit the U key a couple times to bring that up. And it looks like position was set up right there. So we just want to drag that back 1 frame. And now, since that's already been set up so that it will automatically set keyframes for us, I can just come over here and drag that X value over to reposition my 100 in the middle. So just about right there is going to put that back in the middle. So now I can just kind of scrub through here and you're able to see that that 1 frame change just bumps that 100 back over, and it doesn't look like it was ever off center. Okay, so I also want to animate my banner off here that you see because it says students accepted every semester, and I don't want that to be confusing now that we've changed our number to 100. So as those numbers are counting back up from 68 to 100, let's go ahead and animate our banner off of our comp. So I'm just going to hit the U key to bring up those keys, and we'll just pause kind of right here and bring up the position for our banner. And I'll just go ahead and set that stopwatch there, and then we'll drag forward and say that's how much time we want our banner to be able to exit. And then just grab that and drag that off the comp. Now you want to make sure you drag it down far enough so when our camera is zoomed back, it's not going to still be in view. So when we go out to our main composition, if we need to move that down any further, we can do that later on. And if you want to, you could add maybe a little bit more interesting animation just by changing these two keys to easy ease. So I'll go ahead and select both of those and hit the F9 key to change their interpolation. Okay, let's go back out to our main composition. And I'm just going to watch this small part here. I'm just going to kind of scrub forward there to about 15 seconds. And we'll do a quick rain preview of just the things we've fixed so far and watch that through. Okay, that rain preview has finished up. So let's go ahead and watch that back. We still need to fix this millions piece of text. That's still in front of our teal circle. But that looks a little bit better the way that we have that count up sooner. I like the way that looks. And if I'm going to just scrub back here really quickly, % sign still needs motion blur turned on. So let's just go into that comp really quickly, turn on motion blur for our % sign. And then we can come back out to our main composition, scrub back a little bit. And it looks like right about there, we're having that issue with our millions piece of text. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag this backwards in Z space just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and hit that U key to bring that up. And I'm just going to come in there to the position, and we can just put this at something like 48 right in there, just so that it's a little bit further back in Z space. Okay, so we fixed about half of our project so far, and there's still a few more things that we want to go in there and change. So in this lesson, we made a few tweaks to our project to tighten everything up. In the next lesson, we'll finish this process to produce our final motion graphics piece.